India has fought back against attempts and infiltration attempts in Jammu and Kashmir's Sambha district. 7 Pakistan-backed terrorists were killed by Indian forces. This infiltration attempt was supported by fire from Pakistani rangers, but the BSF neutralized the infiltration bid. As we are talking about all of the events over the last 24 hours, we're joined now by General Bikram Singh, former Chief of Army Staff, to give us perspective on the scale of the battle going on. General Bikram Singh, pleasure to speak with you, and thank you so much for your time here on NDTV Profit.
Thank you, Tamanna. Right, we've seen the rise in violence in the last 36 to 48 hours, and we have given a fitting response to what Pakistan has been doing. And as for the policy that has been stated by the government, that we do not intend escalating, but then it's at the behest of Pakistan's response, the way they've been reacting to our operations, which we carried out against the terrorist camps. They have opened up the entire front, I would say. They have taken on a large number of targets of ours, our vulnerable areas, our vulnerable points. This is a military parlance that we use to sensitive locations and sensitive areas. And it is not only along the line of control, they have come into the area of international border. You've seen the various challenges, including your channel has been covering various areas that have been targeted last night by the enemy, using their aerial means, both missiles and their drones. They have been using long-range artillery in places along the national highway, which joins Pathankot and Jammu region, areas of Kannur and other areas along the line of control. The operations along the line of control have also gone up. They've intensified. The fire assaults have intensified, which are being, I would say, being given a appropriate response by our troops. We have demolished one of their posts. As you brought out yourself, we have countered an infiltration bid by the Pakistani terrorists. So these activities are on. We are totally geared up as of now. This is what at the moment is the situation as of now on the tactical and the operational front. But when you talk of strategic front, let me bring out that our forces are definitely at the moment poised for any escalation that may take place, which is bound to take place, let's be very clear. Because we at the moment do not know what exactly is the military objective of the Pakistani chief. But which I brought out earlier on NDTV the other day, that escalation was bound to occur. It has occurred. It will continue. But I suppose at some stage we'll have to define our threshold of tolerance, because this cannot go on in an open-ended manner. That they hit us, we hit them. I think a bit of paradigm shift to our present stated policy and our stance of being more defensive and trying to only counter what they are doing. I think we'll have to get onto a more proactive mode, define our threshold of tolerance, that beyond this, we are going to hammer you hard. I think that is what is required. And so far, I think this is the situation. We are well poised to take on any escalation.
But the escalation has already taken place, isn't it? Just for context, General Bikram Singh, in the last several years, is this the highest level of conflict we've seen between the two sides?
Absolutely, Tamanna. In fact, when I said, higher escalation, it is in terms of the employment of the ground forces. That's the ultimate resort a nation resorts to. But otherwise, you would have seen the wars which have taken place in West Asia, other places, Central Asian Republic. You would have seen the countries have used these standoffish weapons, aerial weapons, these aerial platforms like the drones, the missiles, hovering munitions. These are the kind of munitions that have been used. And this is what Pakistan has done. We have capability of this, in fact, to a larger extent. But so when I say, the rise in escalation, that is basically on account of the fact that still ground forces have not come in. Our combat power has not been utilized. But yes, you are right. Hitherto, this is the highest levels which we have seen so far. Because let's be very clear. In the past, if you see our earlier wars with Pakistan, 65, 71, they went in for airfields only as part of their conventional, well-planned offensives. And that's what we call, this called seizing initiative phase of the war. So decisive operations, when I'm talking about, are the ones wherein ground forces get involved. So decisive operations would be an upgradation of the escalatory ladder. So that is what I was referring to. But yes, you're right. this hitherto is the highest form of violence that we have seen. And I suppose it is likely to continue. And perhaps we'll have to twist their arms slightly more harder to ensure they stop.
You know, just in terms of the scenes that unfolded all night last night, and of course, the Indian Armed Forces, not enough can be said at the way that the population of this country was defended. But the fact was that there was an attempt to attack cities, civilians and military installations, and we thwarted all of them. What is this telling us about the level of preparedness of India?
Firstly, we are well prepared. You know, Pakistani army is known for deviating from the Geneva Conventions. They are not supposed to be targeting. We have ensured scrupulously that we do not target any civilian, population centers or any facilities, civilian facilities. But yes, we targeted where the terrorists were holed up in Pakistan, where their headquarters were there, where their training camps were there. But what they are doing is they are actually mercilessly, I would say, going ahead, devoid of any respect to the Geneva Conventions, taking on the civilian targets. But you would have seen our response has been absolutely well coordinated. All states are geared up. All states which are adjoining the border along the IB, including J&K along the LC, they all geared up. The measures have been taken. State government machinery is activated. Home guards are activated. There is synergy at the moment, right from a home guard personnel to police to CRPF, BSF, other paramilitary forces and the military. So the synergy is very much there. We are well poised. So there's nothing to worry as such.
It's also showing the prowess of the S-400 system. Now, you know, these are terms average viewers, civilians are all now learning, understanding what it does. This anti-missile defense system now becomes core to whatever happens next, isn't it?
Exactly. Because as I said earlier, you know, the paradigm shift in war fighting today that has taken place is the excessive use of the drones and aerial weapon systems. We have seen our system as 400 system, which we acquired from Russia at a cost of $5 billion US. I think it has given us dividends, has given us, I would say, bang for the buck that we had spent in acquiring this. At that point of time, a lot of eyebrows were raised why so much is being spent. But I think we got bang for the buck that we had spent.
You know, just want to understand, General Bikram Singh, from here on what happens or what could happen in this kind of warfare. First of all, we are clearly at war against terrorists and a nation state that is attacking us. How does the escalation take place on one end, and what are the opportunities of an off-ramp? Because both attempts will be made.
You see, as I said earlier, and it's been stated by the Prime Minister, Defense Minister, our Foreign Minister, our External Affairs Minister, Secretary, he's also mentioned that we do not intend escalating. Ours is that we are basically reacting to what Pakistan is doing. So escalation is going to be essentially from the Pakistani side. Should they go beyond what they are doing now, they will be hammered nice and hard. Let me tell you this. And as I see the shape of things to come, while this option is there, let me tell you over here, Tamanna, that I feel the way Pakistan is going about it, apparently they have got external support. They have got their missiles and other drones and all from other countries. They do have a support. Otherwise, without this will, which perhaps which they didn't have earlier, because they don't have the combat power with them. Their war fighting endurance is just for about 4 days. Now that has to be enhanced by external agencies and external resources, international players. And we do know that, yes, China has been supporting them. Turkey has been supporting them. We have Bangladesh, which is not very favorably inclined. US has taken hands off, typical of its own stance of being non-committal to such events. But we have to stand by ourselves. We have the wherewithal, but then we have to go by what we have to adapt our strategy, our war fighting strategy, our national strategy to counter Pakistan, given what it does, what it acquires, what it does, its statements, information warfare. Yes, this brings me to the information warfare, which is a very important, a line of operation of such a campaign. And you would have seen in the last 36, 48 hours, they've been resorting to baseless, malicious, rumors being spread on social media, which I'm glad it's being countered by all the TV channels. It is being countered by our wise people, leadership at all levels, by the state governments. Yeah, and no, I would say very clear instructions have gone out by the government. People are following those. The greatest thing is that the country is united today. All parties are united, and I think that's the strength of our country.
You know, you talked about unconventional warfare in terms of social media. The kind of day and age we live in, General, there is of course the conventional warfare or attacks, defense and all of that that's happening. But there is also psyops, right? Social media, fake news, and then the digital sphere of war. What do we need to look out for now?
You see, Tamanna, both one conventional, as I said earlier. Let's see if they further up the ante. Do they enhance the violence levels? Do they get into ground operations? We got to wait and watch. Let's see, for which we are poised. As far as the asymmetric warfare is concerned, the proxy war in J&K, we have totally geared up on the line of control in J&K, including on the IB for any infiltration. Like Samba, for example, is international border. We've foiled one of the infiltration attempts and killed their terrorists. So we have to take care of the three fronts as of now. In fact, I would say fourth. Fourth is the internal security, and in addition to the third one, which you said is information warfare, the propaganda which is going on. So information warfare, we are given out very clear instructions, and I'm sure people are going to abide by those. And as far as the internal security is concerned, beyond the IB and the LOC and J&K, we got to start looking at various lines of communications which are going to be supplying our combat power. Their security, we got to see the vulnerable areas and vulnerable points along these arteries, which are going to be supplying logistic echelons, bringing forward to the combat power of ours, which is going to be taking on Pakistan on the IB and in J&K. So this has to be ensured, and also to look at the Northeast, because I'm aware of this. I remember when I was the chief, there are a large number of sleeping cells in Nepal, in adjoining countries, Bangladesh. We've got to ensure that we keep an eye on these and are not surprised from this front as well.
It's important. We have to keep aware on the Northeast. I was talking more about also, if you can shed light on that, cyber security. We are going to have meetings this evening with the finance minister talking to banks on how to ensure that our cybersecurity frameworks are in place. Stock exchanges have put out this information that they are watching very, very closely for any kind of activity, because this is India's clear advantage, apart from our military advantage, right? A stable economy, a flourishing economy, and a flourishing financial sector. We have to guard against vulnerability here as well.
Absolutely. Cyber attacks are going to start off. They must have already started. And let me tell you, they would employ, countries like China, definitely to help them out. And the only thing, Tamanna, is that we again are geared up in this account, because any breach of cybersecurity occurs on three accounts: technology, people, and processes. 80% of the faults are by the people not following the processes. And as long as we continue to sort of sensitize our population, what they need to do, as long as we continue to sensitize the leadership of various important installations, both which are military in nature and also civilian, I think we'll be doing good. People should know in schools and colleges. The word has to spread in terms of the processes to be followed, training of people in this regard to make sure. And technology, of course, we got state-of-the-art technology to deal with at the helm of affairs. There's cyber attacks.
General Bikram Singh, we are all lauding our forces, we're supporting our forces, and of course ever grateful. But as citizens, what can we do? There have been some mock drills, etc. But mentally, how does one prepare yourself? What is the kind of protocol that citizens should follow?
I think one, of course, is they got to fulfill their obligations towards the nation in terms of ensuring that whatever the government says is done. We got to refrain from rumors. We need to check before we send any message across. I think there's no need to at the moment, if you ask me frankly. The next is that whenever the military echelons are passing through their areas of, wherever they are located, any state for that matter, from the hinterland, when they're moving towards the borders, to keep mum on that, not take pictures and put them on social media. We have to refrain from that. And I think most important thing is that to do everything that will boost the morale of a soldier who's fighting in the front. That is most important. Boost the morale of a soldier. Perhaps once the convoy is moving through a built-up area, perhaps a salute, a Jai Hind, shake hand with the soldiers, passing on, some, I would say greetings to them, is something which would boost their morale. And as long as the nation is with them, let me tell you, the greatest morale booster is the population, which can give the right kind of tone, right kind of message to the soldiers that are fighting on the front. They need that, and I'm sure the country is doing it. It is doing it beautifully. And salute to the people of our great country.
Undoubtedly, we're all sitting here because our armed forces are out there protecting us. Just in terms of is there, people who are watching this are wondering, is there going to be an escalation? Is it unlikely that there's an escalation? If there is a siren in my city, in my area, what do I do? What is your advice for them?
The moment siren goes off, firstly stay at home. The instructions have been given out by all state governments. Stay at home to the extent possible. The moment if you are traveling, stop at some place, get into a place where you can take a bit of shelter. Thereafter, when the siren is sounded, ensure lights go off. In fact, that is being done centrally. But as good responsible citizens, we should not light up any of our houses anywhere. Not use torches, not use any lamps. Try and avoid that. Have a very, very clear blackout, because what happens to most of these loitering munitions which are there, they have the ability to home on to certain light and certain other features. So we should avoid that and go by the instructions that have been given out by the central government through the state governments, and they're being at the moment disseminated. And I think people have already started following those. But nothing to worry. I think the most important thing is be positive, be rest assured. You got very strong, political leadership, very strong military leadership, very competent military leadership. You got very strong military, which can give a bloody nose to any enemy of ours.
Absolutely. Have faith. We are well protected. Thank you so much, General Bikram Singh, for speaking with us. General Bikram Singh is, of course, former Chief of Army Staff, a measured, very knowledgeable voice to, throw light on what is going on in the right perspective right now. Thank you for speaking with us. We'll take a very short break, but we'll be right back with all the latest coverage. Stay tuned.